checking chickens, cheese, chilies, and churumbos.
If you're not checking your chickens, your cheese, and your chili, and your trumbos,
You're childless. Childless chicken chubbers. Chipping out on
Chillas.
chorbas.
Chinchorbas. That's what the chinchillas evolve into. Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today, the depression has not won yet.
Oh, yeah?
You always have to give it the yet because there's always a chance, but
It always wins in the end.
in the end,
I mean, we all die.
I'm still fighting the good fight.
So far, I am immortal.
Yeah, if you
I'm
think
not
about
sure
it
I
that
can
way.
die.
They haven't been able to stop me yet.
They might.
I don't know who they are, but they know who they are, and that's what's...
We should be very careful. They means a very particular thing on the
Does
internet.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You're not terminally online.
I'm really not.
It's very interesting.
I come to you for that. Actually, I've been unplugged from like the news and everything for a little while now. I kind of got to a point where like a breaking point with it, and I just couldn't take any more of all of the updates, and I kind of just haven't been. I mean, like I'll kind of like scroll across some headlines, and it's nothing that's unexpected, so I'm just kind of laying low for a minute.
It's been a bit par for the course of how crazy we expect things to be right now. But I just I don't really understand, but I think more I disagree with how stressful people pretend it is. Like, it's important, but also none of it really affects us. I don't know. I find it very energizing, so I get annoyed when people tap out on it. But
I think what it is for me, because I realized we've talked about this before, it's not the direct watching or listening to, current events or whatever. It's not even the actions that they're reporting on themselves. It's hearing about the actions and knowing that I get onto
that half the country are just legitimately deplorable people.
Yeah, that's what it turns into, is like me going down this track in my mind of like, there are people that are like that are seeing this from such a different angle than I am.
It's
and
interesting,
are
though.
Cheering behind it, and it's like making me. That's what like turns. You start to have those. What's it called? Like the shower thought conversations with like. Imagine you're confronted with meeting this person and imagining the things that like you would want to say to this person, and it's like none of it would make any difference.
Maybe not though. I think that's like super interesting though. And don't you like feeling like you're living on the edge? Like listening to all the crazy shit just makes me want to load up my AR-15 and just go out blasting. Like I like feeling like, oh fuck, I'm getting crazy. This shit makes me feel nuts. I want to unload on these crazy people. That's satisfying.
I have had times where I thought to myself, maybe I should start like carrying my gun. Maybe that is a thing. Like
it's always a bad idea.
There's like, I also think like I don't like that feeling. I don't like the feeling of thinking that I need to.
But think how alive you'd feel. It's a terrible, stupid idea.
Power.
But
think of the edge.
Oh, bro. Talk about living.
I'm just thinking about it.
Knowing you're a finger twitch away from ending some fool's life.
Even if it's my own, who knows?
Fuck it, dude. Whatever feels good.
Can't stop me.
Actually, so I'm joking, but I do have a bit of a new life philosophy I'm playing with. I'm going to run that by you at the end, but it ties into this. So bookmark add a new tab, and then how about we get into this? We're kind of doing a bit of a shower thoughts episode, a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but first, how was your week? Let's do that first.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Week's been good. Work's slowing down. I'm trying to figure out how to be a normal person again.
You're like Pinocchioing?
Yeah, exactly. I am a real boy, but it just doesn't feel like it yet.
You're reverse Pinocchioing.
Yeah.
You're becoming a real boy.
I don't know. I'm doing better.
Good.
Yeah. I'm still getting, my life together as far as like all the shit that I haven't been doing on a regular schedule while I was working a bunch, like my laundry and, dishes are done. My dishes are not above the sink level. So
that's a good sign.
Yeah. Mental health is good.
Yes.
I'm working on meal prep shit.
You're prepping meals?
Yes.
Interesting.
Interesting. I have a plan to, lose some weight, get a little more in shape.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's always a good feeling when you're like gearing up.
Yeah. So it feels hopeful.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's a nice change of pace.
Hope's good.
How you doing?
I'm lights off, Steven, today. Okay.
Oh, aren't you usually, though?
It's 50-50. It depends. I'm lights off today. I just made double hot chocolate. So it's a lot of sugar.
Is that 2 hot chocolate packs in a 1 serving of...
Correct. It has 2 Swiss Misses and a disgusting amount of whipped cream.
And in a 1 singular cup?
Correct.
And this is not a double-sized cup. This is just a 1 regular cup, right?
It's actually a smaller than normal cup.
It's more of a hot cocoa sludge.
It is, actually. I speaking of gym, I just gymmed a little too hard and felt very queasy. And I was like, I need sugar for this. So I turned off the lights, made a lot of sugar.
Just fall into a sugar coma real quick.
Yeah, I'm diabetic ketosising right now. And I think in general, my week, my whole life really, I've been staring into the abyss too long. And I think I'm finally nocturnal. Also, I think I accidentally became a juggalo.
Hell yeah.
Ironically became a juggalo. And I'm not proud of it, but I accept it. And I don't know. Overall, life's been pretty lame, but doing okay.
So are we going to the gathering next year?
I would love that, actually.
That would be pretty sick.
The problem is I hate traveling. So I mainly need the juggalo to come to me or for it to be in a reasonable distance. It's
usually in Ohio. The last few years it's been in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, like central Ohio-ish.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. We, here's the deal. We can go, but you have to pick the most, normie friend, preferably someone who's never even heard of Insane Clown Posse, which I didn't think that there were people our age that didn't at least have heard of them.
They're sheltered.
Yeah. Well, one of my good friends and coworker, one who listens to the show on a regular basis, one who helped me do the Taylor Swift Great American Poet segments.
Of course.
She had not heard of the Insane Clown Posse.
That's heinous.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand how you avoided it. She's a couple years older than us, but not that many.
My dad's a principal and he hadn't heard of it. And that fucked me up. I was ruminating throughout the entire dinner conversation of how had it never came up before.
Yeah, it's preposterous.
I mean,
it sounds like he just wasn't doing a good job. He wasn't attentive to the kids and their needs.
That's why I said there's no way you've never not seen a hatchet man drawn in a kid's notebook. There's no way. It's preposterous.
Especially at a Christian school where those kids, some of them don't want to be there.
That is the
and they feel so oppressed.
Honestly, though, I think a lot of like Catholic, like grade schoolers today, I bet the percent that know about Insane Clown Posse is pretty low.
That's fair. Most, especially kids today, almost all of the, 18 to 21-year-olds or whatever that we get in for college in the summer have no fucking idea who ICP is.
Yeah.
Which is especially wild since we're in Detroit, but...
Do you ever make lists of random things?
How random?
This week I was making a list of all the people I've ever known that killed animals. I was thinking of the Haitian
specific
news story. I was surprised how many people I've met that have killed animals. Pretty shocking to see it on paper in front of me.
Now
wasn't good.
Here's a question.
Not good.
What constitutes an animal to you? Killing bugs?
Well,
do they make the list?
Well, this is where this started from. So the whole Trump Vance saying the immigrants are eating the cats.
They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs.
Yeah. First off, all of that was just pure racism, right? We all
absolutely
know that.
Yeah.
Second off, there is Haitian voodoo that people do sacrifice animals. So it was all set out of racism, but I'm not going to ever say people don't kill animals because, and all the people that are outraged all eat animals. So it seems, it just seems dumb all the way around. But, I knew this one guy, he shot his neighbor's Dalmatian and then barbecued it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a wild one. That's pretty out there.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Very nice man.
Yeah, it's a cool dude.
But wouldn't trust him to house sit. No fucking chance.
Never.
That's one of those things. Even if I had done that, I would never tell anyone.
Yeah, for sure. This is this goes with me to my grave.
The thing
if I was telling someone, it was because the guilt was overwhelming. And
I think that was part of it. Because he was older, too. Man, yeah, I've met some weird people. But speaking of schools, should we get into the shower thoughts? I've just had this on my mind all week. Schools are really supposed to be a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
Kids should be able to express themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why school shootings are actually kind of based. There's something about it, isn't there? There's something sublimely sincere of what I hate school
pure
so
form
much.
Of expression.
I'm half memeing, but half telling the truth.
Imagine, you can't express that kind of hatred with words, especially at a high school level.
That's what I mean. It's the type of thing, it is so sad, right? But it's a very small problem that is so twisted up in people's heads due to perverse sympathy and news reporting of this happened to a very small amount of people this year, and we're gonna make a lot of money by selling this sadness to people. And even our vice presidential candidates are gonna get on to presidential debates and talk about how we need better locks and doors. They're fucking idiots. Did you catch that one?
Actually, I didn't watch the vice presidential debate.
You didn't miss much, but
that's basically what I heard. I was planning on watching it after the fact, and I just heard
it's worth a watch.
But that was about the time that I kind of unplugged, and
they both
just
lied.
Wasn't feeling it
A fair amount, but one lied way worse than the other one.
But oh wait, let me try to guess which one. Yeah. I mean, I understand 100% of the context of why it's especially why it's so easy to fall into the spiral on that, because
Which spiral?
Into like being like up in arms about school shootings to the point where like it can become blinding of like.
But you'd have to be pretty stupid to fall down the spiral, right?
No, I think you just have to have, a kid.
Or a stupid brain.
Or have empathy. Because I think there's a lot of it that's, we've talked about like the antinatalism thing of like, is it morally good to bring life into the world? And the best argument against it is, if you're, I'm not saying that this I fully stand by this either, but like if you give birth to something and you love it and you try to, give it all the opportunities that you didn't have and, do better unto it than life had done unto you.
Mm.
And then that happens and, that person you loved is taken away from you. Their life is taken away from them. It is tragic in and of itself.
Yeah, of course.
The repetition of it, I think, can be, in like the amount that it's talked about without, I don't know, having real solutions that aren't completely batshit insane.
Yeah.
Is that part's sad. It can be numbing to the effect of it, where it's like, okay, this happens so many times in a year, and it's just like it feels like it's not even a thing anymore.
But
it's a fact of life. But
it really doesn't happen that often. That's the thing. As for how many people are in this country, it's a problem, but it should be very fucking low on the priority list. And but
for the people that it happens to, for the families that it happens to, that is
everything.
There's not a higher priority.
Of course, but the people that sell the sadness don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That's where, I get you on that. For the people that can, even if you're just close to a family that it happens to, or through, however many steps away you are from it, it can be very chilling, and it can be very easy to, let that kind of trauma overtake you. To the point where, you're looking at other people for solutions, and it's like, when you don't see those solutions, it can be very frustrating and just make people more upset.
I guess.
Which does help the journalists sell more shit. Sorry, continue.
I find it incredibly frustrating. No one gives a fuck about the kids that do the shooting.
Yeah.
And the latest this year, it's the first time, I could be speaking out of turn, it's the first time parents are being charged for manslaughter or whatever because their kid did something.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking so stupid. It ignores there are worlds where that makes sense.
Yeah,
like if the parent,
of course, I think there are definitely
puts the gun in the hand and pats him on the back and says like, "Make me proud." But like much less than that, it seems like just compounding tragedy. And of course, it's sad for everyone, but the kids that do it and die, like, it's pretty fucking dire too. I don't know. It's like it's a very like honest anger where like so many other forms of like anger and violence are very manipulated or not pure, and there's something about it that it just like makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Not that it's good, but it makes sense.
Right.
And I feel like we live in this world where it's like, oh, that's so crazy, or like that's so bad, or where did that come from? How could that ever happen?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Of like, it's to be blindsided by the idea that it's possible is crazy. Even the first thing I thought of when you said that was, when January 6th happened, my biggest takeaway was that of all of the things that I felt like were, things that people would actually like riot on the Capitol for, I didn't expect it to be because, of like some easily provable lies.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing, is like, of course it's possible to have a tyrant take over the United States, but it's so pathetic that it's this old huckster snake oil salesman that is very uncharismatic and
of all of the
to look at.
Like I just feel like there's so many other injustices that people should be or could be that upset about, and it would feel more, it would have more conviction. And I feel like that could be like, that's the thing that made me feel like I don't understand how this turned into that.
How about this? All right. Name 3 big high priority problems aside from taxes. It's the only one you can't use.
I think the part of the problem is I feel like taxes could be a solution for some of these if it was controlled controlled a different way, but they can get into it that a different time. Homelessness is a big one. Okay. Working like
we're shower thoughts mode.
I forget
we're rapid fire. We're burst round.
I forget the difference between psychiatrist and therapist kind of thing, but like getting like mental stability, like considering mental health to be at least as high as a priority as, your medical health.
Okay. So mental health, homelessness, and
I'm picking a top 3. What's the third one?
Could be anything in life. Doesn't have to be political.
I think the pollution thing is something that...
I have a solution.
For the pollution? You have a solution for pollution?
For all 3.
Okay, yeah.
It's part of my... This is a small part of my new life theory. There is no problem in life that you can't solve with an assassin. We can solve all of those with assassins. Test it.
I mean,
homelessness.
Look at that guy from, what was it, Delta or Southwest? What plane was that?
Was that?
The guy was going to testify about. He was going to testify about some shit, and
he did not get assassinated.
He quote unquote killed himself.
It happened. Like 3 Boeing testifiers died, like at inconvenient times, but it was all nonsense.
Got your boy Epstein. You got,
What does that have to do with anything? I'm so confused.
The Epstein didn't kill himself thing.
What about it?
I'm saying, you know, like
assassins.
I'm saying an assassin got him.
No, he killed himself.
He was so a problem. He was a problem, and somebody solved it with an assassin.
Okay, we can solve pollution.
Abraham Lincoln. Sorry.
We can solve pollution with assassins. We can solve mental health problems and homelessness with assassins. There's no problem you can't solve with an assassin. Now, the trick answer is you could say, what if you didn't pay the assassin? How could you solve that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is you get another assassin to kill the previous assassin. And you could ask...
Then you just have a cycle.
Yes. As long as you have access to enough assassins, there's no problem in life you can't solve. I think it's important everyone acknowledge that.
Now, it's fun that, you know, you bring this up, and I think the bigger question is, where do we find these assassins?
Capital I Internet.
Well, there's that. I mean, I think that would be a great way to help sort them out. But, you know.
Or sad school children.
That's exactly what I'm going for. Yes. You have all these kids that are shooting up schools, but we could be like.
Put them to work.
Put them to work. Solve the world's problems.
That way they won't be homeless.
Yeah. You know, the question, and here's the biggest problem. You have the assassins. You have as many assassins as you need.
Right.
Who is the person who makes the decisions on who gets assassinated?
Me.
Is this a democracy? Do we vote? Does the person who
assassins do seem like a very democratic group? Yeah. I don't think they'd believe in hierarchy. They'd be a one vote per assassin type group, don't you think?
Yeah, sure.
They wouldn't do electoral college, that's for sure.
No, for absolutely not.
Everyone gets an equal say.
If you put, you know, say the head of, you know, some giant oil conglomerate or otherwise that's, you know, polluting the waters in a vast and, you know,
boom, headshot,
expansive way. And we all put out a vote and we say, okay, should we hire an assassin to, you know, solve this problem?
Yay or nay.
And then everyone votes yay. And of course, that one guy says no.
Problem solved. Or he gets assassinated and then we solve the problem.
Then what are the rules on that? Like, does he have, how much time does he have? Like,
you give him a head start to flee.
Or give him, you know, if he, you know, if it's something like, you know, they can fix the problem with the flip of a switch and they do it. And immediately after it's like, okay, these people want to assassinate me. And I decide, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen. I don't want that to happen.
Sure.
I will correct the wrong, right? I will at least stop doing the wrong and do what I can to correct it.
You've lost me completely.
So I'm saying, like, is there an off switch for this assassin now?
No.
Once it's voted, do we give them the opportunity
to change
rules.
They lost the fucking vote. Their say doesn't matter.
They lost the vote.
That's democracy.
Oh, I guess, yeah, they could have, in the time up to the vote, they could have stopped, so.
They can stop whenever they damn well please.
True.
All right. You know, did you catch the pager attacks? Israel's pager attacks?
Not really. I heard about it, but I didn't read the details on it.
Dude, it was incredible. Regardless how you feel about the current politics of Israel, the pager attacks they enacted were incredible. Incredibly scary potential, right? They fucking man-in-the-middle attacked the pager manufacturer before these pagers and walkie-talkies went to Hezbollah, right? Now, it's still, I'm sure someone knows, but there was a lot of reporting back and forth of if the pagers were modified to include an explosive, and it's not. It might be definitive now, but it wasn't definitive because the thought was if they had explosives and any of these terrorists would have gone on a plane or whatever, a dog at some point would have alerted, right? But they're also the type of people that wouldn't be traveling out of country with their terrorist walkie-talkie, right? So the thought is the pagers and walkie-talkies were modified with batteries that may have had more explosive elements, and then the actual hardware of the capacitors of the circuit boards were wired that when they got a certain frequency, they could rev everything up to explode. Because they exploded much more powerfully than the batteries for those type of pagers, and walkie-talkies were believed to have been able, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only were they able to attack so precisely, they also were then intercepting all of these cells' communications. So it's very multifactorial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the iffy part is these attacks really only killed 12 people, but they injured like something over 3,000, including some kids and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what it was, that is still like an incredibly precise attack. Now, the little bit of brilliance. So all the pagers go off all at once. They send them a message. So all these dudes check their pagers and they get exploded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they all then have to fall back on their walkie-talkies, which they also didn't know had explosives or were able to explode.
Jesus.
And then here's like the craziest. Whoever thought this part is a fucking evil genius, dude. To do the two-factor authentication, I'm not sure if it was for the walkies or for the pagers, but to do the two-factor authentication, you had to use both hands.
Oh.
And when you're using a device like that, both hands right in front of your face.
Wow.
Dude, how fucking... That's fucking dark, bro.
That's psycho shit.
Dude. I mean, regardless of how someone feels about the political nature of the attack, the tech capabilities of a strike like that is absolutely impressive as fuck.
Yeah, that's really wild.
Yeah, man. Everything is moving like war-wise it's all tech now.
I say that's like modern guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. And to do it while subverting all of their communications the whole time and then choosing when you want to pop them like watermelons. And then after to have their secondary communications also be weapons too. Like the new battlefields are wild. Just today or yesterday, China hacked a bunch of US ISPs. Like what we think of as battle is changing so much. It's all information and subversion of expectations through creative tech means. It seems like.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's it blends in seamlessly. You know, technology in general, like if you can, like everyone has some type of device that has, yeah.
Exactly. We're thinking like, oh, these walkies and pagers are so outdated. There is a possibility this attack was enacted without any implanted explosives.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it maybe involved altering circuit boards and battery composition.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that like 10 years from now, what the possibilities of that could be.
And the remote is, can be the square computer that we all keep in our pocket anyway.
Exactly. Like, we're approaching the point where every tech device, in theory, is a hijackable bomb. Mm-hmm. Like, it used to just be like, oh, your pacemaker might get hacked, or your electric car might be remote controlled. And we're approaching a point where any fucking phone, computer, whatever, is possible to be highly ramped up and detonated.
Yeah.
Bro, it's sci-fi shit.
It really is.
All right, next thought. It should be illegal to give vendors of the supernatural money. So psychics, tarot card readers, palm readers, ghost hunters, and the like, because you're essentially funding terrorism. Because psychics are just very small-minded terrorists.
You might have to elaborate more on that. I think they're definitely assholes. They're bad people.
They're actual emotional terrorists, dude. They are actually terrorizing people.
I don't know if it's worse if they believe that they're some kind of psychic or
it's more sincere
or whatnot. Yeah, or if they like
are con.
Yeah, it's people. Like, are they a con man or are they a crazy person?
It's probably better if they're crazy.
Yeah,
because the intention is different.
Yeah.
But the results are the same, and they should both be treated as terrorists.
There is a street I have to go down on a very regular basis. And it's a pretty busy street in the area up here. There are two psychics, not like not a mile away from each other.
That's shocking, actually. I don't think I've ever seen. Maybe I've seen like one in Cincinnati ever.
And I see it on like the back of people's car. I've seen a couple of them. It might have been the same one, just different times, because it was probably in the same area. Because I don't get out too far, but I've definitely seen, signs advertising for like a home like psychic reading, it's usually like psychic readings, life coach shit.
It's disgusting.
It's so fucked. It makes me so angry. And
like, I feel like those people that go are actually guilty of a crime. Like, they're actually funding terrorism. Like, they just prey on people all day for money.
Yeah, it's akin to religion. Right? Of like
similar.
The person that's doing this, like what they're really seeking from this interaction, from this, this purchase is some kind of, whether it's a peace of mind, or like a comfort, some kind of direction.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you can definitely make the argument, and I'd be willing to listen to it, that it's not bad under those conditions, but like any crutch, you can't use it forever. You can't rely on it. The idea of a crutch is to help you in a time when you need the help.
But you can use it forever. It just makes you weaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to make you deteriorate.
Yeah.
So if, when you don't give up the crutch and you continue to use it way past the time when you need it, when you don't take, do the physical therapy and, get stronger and build that muscle back or whatever, then you're just going to get worse.
Yeah.
And then you'll never be able to use that leg again. So in the same way that, like, when you stop using your own analysis and critical thinking and decision-making skills, you're just, it's like, it's one thing if you're in a bad place, whether you're in, grief. I mean, same thing with religion. When you're in, a time of grief, it's like we hit weak points in life.
That doesn't.
It doesn't make it that it's
acceptable.
okay.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't make it okay on the means of the psychic, but
Yes.
it does make it okay for people to grasp for straws. When you're looking for help, sometimes you take the first thing you can get if you're desperate enough.
Are we saying it's? I don't think it's okay. It's understandable. Like it's.
Yeah. It's 100% understandable.
Still, but
for sure.
But you got to do what you got to do, and you're still making a bad decision.
But the problem also with that, of course, is when you're in a rough spot and you go to a psychic or you go to a church and something they say kind of resonates with you, and you maybe use that as a mantra or use that as like it's a thought that comes up later as you're healing and you're getting back to yourself, and then that thing is still in you. There's still a little brainwash in you of like something they said, and you think, oh, I got better because of this.
Very few people go to see a psychic or a medium of sorts when they're in a good place, right? Yeah. And these little parasites, they want to cut you open and just fuck with your internal nature.
Yeah.
For their benefit. It's like actually one of the worst things you could do to a person.
The healthiest you could probably be and still want to go to a psychic is like
out of curiosity or social pressure or something.
There's, like years ago, I remember,
have you ever gone?
So I have a fun story about this. We actually, I was just about to tell it too. We went to go see, do you remember John Edwards?
Is this you've told me, the Jinko genes?
Yeah. So we went to go see him, and I remember it being a thing. It's like, my grandpa had died years ago at this point. Like, my family, like, I'm sure there was some level of like a grief there, from, it's when your parent dies. Like, yeah, I'm sure that sticks around for a while. But it's not like they were like deep in grief and desperate. But they were like, well, maybe.
Well, looking back on this,
maybe we'll be able to make a connection. Maybe we'll hear something. Maybe he'll give us a message. Or
when you look back on this, do you feel frustrated that someone was able to like charge your family money for like an illusion?
Yes, but I feel like because I think it would be different if my family had, fallen through more of it and like wanted more of it.
Sure, like the damage was relatively low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still frustrating because there's still like I can for sure get with the idea that reading your tarot cards or something like that is like, I've met people that do I just draw a tarot card every day. Just draw one.
I've done it. I used to know it. Like, there's ways you can use the tools without being deceptive to like be introspective. But the people that sell it, maybe there are some like honest people out there, but those aren't true psychics or media. Those are like people doing a form of therapy or just introspection. But exactly. That's very different.
There's definitely the argument of like you can get anything from these messages. It's like horoscopes and shit, because it's like it's made to be vague so that you can associate it in a way that you want to. And that's absolutely the point of it, and that's why it works, quote unquote works. But there's in particular, the one that stands out is like the one that I saw that was like psychic and life coach. And was like, you're trying to get a hold of somebody and like just drain them for all they got.
That's
with absolute horseshit. You have no, there's no
life
credential
coaches
to
are
that.
huge right now too.
It's crazy.
I feel like the social standard should be that psychics shouldn't really be comfortable going outside because they know everyone will spit on them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be the standard. You spit on a psychic whenever you see him.
You know, I'm starting to turn on this because
like they're human spittoons.
Spitting. You have to make that noise when you do it too, though.
Spitting.
They have to make the noise when you do it,
or else they get another one.
Yeah, they get another one. You're going to keep doing it until you make the noise. A psychic, especially one that like that does that it's like, hey, like I'm here to give you direction. I'm here to give you, advice and like tell you the future and shit like that. Like I'm here to give you the answers you seek. That's cult shit. That's like small cult shit.
They're small-minded terrorists. Yep, they just don't have the conviction to do like bombings.
I needed to work through it on that. I had to make the connection, but you're right. I'm right there with you.
We got there. Now, leading up to this election, right?
Mm-hmm.
Misinformation, disinformation, and outright lies.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere, right?
Right.
Now, I fall into this category a little bit myself, but you know how it feels really good to debunk things?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's online or you hear a friend saying some dumb shit and you want to correct them and
oh man, the best thing about some watching Unsolved Mysteries when they come at the end and be like, update, 4 weeks ago we ran this story. We told you this fucking crazy story and we have updates. Yeah, it was all fucked. It's all good. Nothing happened.
See, it feels good, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, it shouldn't. You're wrong to feel that way. Here's the thing. I'm realizing this more and more, especially with online botting and fake activity, right? It's just rampant right now, and I don't think people realize how bad things are with misinformation and disinformation. The real problem is the opportunity cost. So of course it feels good to like set the narrative straight or whatever, but it almost always starts a debate or an argument or whatever. But the problem isn't how those things go and like, oh, it's stressful or, I don't think I proved my point. The loss is the things that aren't being discussed because of the lie or bad information. Like if I'm a little Russian agent, little Russian spy clicking and clacking on my keyboard, right?
3.5 feet tall.
Or
little Russian agent.
Have you heard that? That's the slur for Russians now.
What is it?
Orcs.
Jesus.
Like it's like becoming a real slur. Like the Ukrainians call all the Russians orcs, and yeah.
Fuck.
It's a fun one though.
It's creative, I guess.
I mean, if you squint your eyes, they're not un-orcish.
It's basically the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. But especially on the internet, you can put out a million lies very quickly. And even if you have, let's say, good people such as ourselves that we'll correct it, or we'll debate the friend about the fake cat litter story or some other dumb bullshit.
Yeah.
Even if you bring them to your side, you've already lost. Because all the opportunity cost of what could have been said is gone. It's wasted time, wasted energy, and loss of progress. So it's so easy to just sabotage things so quickly. And the work it takes to undo or even get back to neutral ground, it's...
I agree with that because I feel like especially for the last decade or so much of... I mean, politics is the first thing that comes to mind, but it feels like just like getting back to neutral ground.
Yes.
It's like there's so much bullshit that you're right. You spend so much time going back and forth and back and forth. And even if you get some people back on board, there are so many people left straggling behind that are still going on about the Jewish space lasers and shit.
Yes. Do you remember Steve Bannon?
Yes.
Yes. So he has one of my favorite quotes. Now, if you don't know him, you haven't kept up with any politics in a while, but he was Trump's chief strategist for about 7 months. But he worked for Breitbart News, which is a terrible news agency. And he, you remember that whole Facebook data abuse thing, the Cambridge Analytica?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all him. So Steve Bannon is like an actual supervillain, right?
Yeah.
He, there's recordings of him that have been around for a while, but they've come into light more in connection to the Trump immunity stuff and some of the Jan 6 stuff, because live on his podcast, they try to scrub these things, but people backed up everything he says because he says crazy shit. There's recordings of him announcing like 6 months ahead of time that regardless of how the vote came in for Trump, even if they had lost, no matter what, they would announce they win, and then you push and you try to manipulate. And this was like, he was saying this openly.
Yeah.
As a political strategist. Like, that's fucking dark, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes now is from this piece of shit. And the line is so simple. It's perfect. Flood the zone with shit. And that's been Trump's entire strategy.
It really has.
Which came from Steve Bannon. Flood the zone with shit. Just keep pumping like any other political candidate in the like remember Obama had a whole controversy over the color of his suit.
Yeah.
But Trump, every single day, there's something that most presidents or candidates would never survive. And the whole theory is just flood the zone with shit.
Yeah. It's okay. They start talking about that one, and then it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing, and then no one's talking about that other shit anymore.
Right before, with the hurricane, for example, is before anybody reminds the public that wait, Trump withheld natural disaster money funding constantly as a political bargaining tool. Instead, as soon as something happens, we lie and say it was them. We lie and say
no one's even heard. No one's even heard from the White House. They can't get in touch with them. And the fucking homeboy, the dude comes out on the news and he's like, "No, I spoke with him earlier. It was like was not a problem." And then they just keep saying it, and it's like if you just keep saying the bullshit, there are enough people that are still going to believe it.
Yes,
without any question.
It's the entire justification for Alex Jones, right? Like Steve Bannon, I feel like truly is one of the most influential figures in America's recent history. As disgusting as he is, very interesting and Machiavellian person.
Yeah, just because it's not something to be proud of doesn't mean it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up.
All right, I got two more.
Oh boy,
we can boost through this one. So, this happened a couple years ago, back in 2022. But New York proposed a new bill to prevent discrimination of tattoos. So I'm assuming the proposition has since lost momentum, but nevertheless, it's an interesting idea. I haven't heard this proposed before. So the New York City Council has proposed a bill to outlaw discriminating against people who have tattoos, both in the workplace and when renting a home. If it is passed, tattoos would join race, gender, age, and sexual orientation as protective categories. This first-of-its-kind bill would prohibit discrimination based on having a tattoo. It would apply to employees and service and housing providers. This councilman that was the co-sponsor said, quote, "We should be focused on merit-based work, Can you do the job? If the answer is yes, you can do the job. What does it matter if you have a tattoo? The proposed legislation would not protect tattoos containing hate speech or symbols linked to racism. Which, yeah, I remember when we talked about this privately, it was like, that sounds hugely problematic if it did cover SWATs and
You're trying to stop. You can't stop the guy with a swastika tattoo applying for a job at the JCC.
Right. Now, my problem with this is that I want to judge people on their aesthetics, including their tattoos. And the idea that we have to decipher what a tattoo means to see if it would or would not be covered under this proposed bill would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it seemed like there's a lot to go through on that.
A lot of problems.
I think I get part of it, but I don't like the idea of
being law.
I don't want to say you can't lump it in with race, gender, age, sexual orientation. Like those are not a choice.
Right.
Tattoos and despite what they are, having a tattoo is a choice.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that it should be fine to just not let people have a job because they have a tattoo. But what I'm saying is to lump them in with those other factors is not, they are not
the same.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's if someone has a bunch of scratched, fucked tattoos that are all infected and falling off or obviously jail shit, you can make legitimate judgments. I'm not saying you totally rule out what they are and are not, but how we choose to arrange our body is a real factor. And to prove it to anyone that thinks that's unfair is I should absolutely be able to judge some fucking loser Christian with a fucking Jeremiah tattoo or a fucking cross or some dumbass shit. I don't want them to be, I think either way they are, but I don't want to be protected, or them to be protected from my discrimination. Fuck that. It's very similar to the, or at least it reminds me of the addiction is a disease kind of shit.
Well, let me ask this. Would the discrimination be from that perspective? Would it be because they have a tattoo of a cross or whatever, or would it be because of what the tattoo represents in their faith? As I think the point being on that, the content of the tattoo does have the weight in it that, you can't, if you're going straight on the point of they have tattoos, period, that's not going to, you're not able to not hire them because of that just alone. They have tattoos, and based on
what it means,
or how it presents. Even.
Under this proposed bill, any tattoo that's not hate speech, essentially, would be covered. Doesn't matter. I just got a tattoo that says "fuck your God," right? Mm-hmm. An employer would not, in theory, right? This hasn't passed or whatever. This is just ideas, but I'm sure this is an idea that at some point will gain some more popularity or momentum. Not that it will go through necessarily, but I'm sure there are people that like the idea of this. In theory, a housing person or employer wouldn't be able to judge me based on a tattoo that says "fuck your God," and they absolutely should. I don't want this to be in law. This should be social. I don't like the idea that I can't get a job because of my tattoos, but I don't want it to be because the law said.
Yeah. There's also the thing of you get a tattoo when you're 18, and then, 20 years later, you're in, two versions of yourself later.
Sure.
You don't reconcile with that. You can't afford maybe a cover up. You can't afford the, removal yet, like whatever. But you need a job.
I empathize with it, but
it's like I empathize. I think of like, have you seen the guy who actually got like the ICP clown paint, but like as a face tattoo?
And it's taken forever to get removed. Yeah.
It's like, obviously, it's hard to not make a judgment on someone's like stability, mental or otherwise, when if they're willing and able to make a choice like that, even if they regret it, like, almost immediately afterward, there's still like, it's hard to not make that judgment of like, you had to have known this was fucked up. The fact that you didn't realize this was fucked up until it was far too late it's crazy.
I think, like, I want the effects of a bill like this to be in the world. I want people to be accepting of people's mistakes. I just don't like when things are unnecessarily enforced by the government. Like, I want the freedom to be able to judge someone for what they chose to do to themselves. And I don't want the government to say, you can't do that. Right? Yeah. Like, I want employers and housing places to forgive people of past mistakes, but I don't want them to be forced to do it. That's not good.
Like, you made a choice decision to do a thing. It's different than, your race, your gender, your age, your sexual orientation. I mean, we've talked about this before too. Like, it's same with religion. You're choosing.
Exactly.
There is an unfortunate circumstance of like, that's all you've ever known is this religion because of your family's all brainwashed too. But like, that empathy only goes so far.
Yes. Till the age of reason.
Yeah.
I see it very similar to the like addiction being classified as a disease, which I really, as a fucking junkie, I fucking hate that. Mm-hmm. I really, like, I think that was really bad. And I'm surprised, I'm not sure if it was the, what is it? The AMA? Or I don't know which body did that, but I really don't like that. And I was surprised when it happened, because using or not using, sober or not sober, like, those are choices. And I do, though, very much acknowledge that, like, each time, whether it's using drugs or like just doing something against your will, like watching porn when you didn't want to, or lying to someone when you didn't mean to, or stealing, whatever the fuck, each time you act against your own will or your own set of values, I definitely acknowledge you're like losing or letting crumble a bit of your autonomy. Mm-hmm. And especially with substances that have like physical effects, that is very much amplified. And I'm very sympathetic to that as someone that has like truly struggled with it. But ultimately, it's still always a choice. And I think the idea of like hiding behind disease designations or law enforcement when it comes to the tattoo thing, I think that robs people of their autonomy completely. Mm-hmm. Like, acting against your own will chips at it, but to completely take away responsibility just robs people of their choice in a lot of ways. And I think that also takes away from the credit or virtue or whatever of like choosing to be sober, or like making the mistake, or whatever the fuck.
I can definitely see that being a cause for people who may otherwise be more would feel like they should or they could get sober, to then be like, well, I have a disease, or it's like, it's not my fault at all that I'm like this. I have a disease.
I've heard it so many times.
There's definitely a part of like you said, when you get to, that deep in it, where like, sure, you can probably reach a point where you're losing the ability to make these choices on your own.
Yeah, like you're at like 1% of choice. Like it gets to that point, and there are like physical and genetic components.
Right.
But at the very, like, even if it's the most minimal amount, there's still always choice left.
Mm-hmm. By not holding people accountable for their actions, like it further enables them to
it's a little delusion.
Continue, yeah.
I'm incredibly, like, it's something I still struggle with, but I just don't like, I don't like the idea of telling, it's the same with like AA and shit, or like to say like, oh, it's all out of my control, I give it up to God. It's that same shit where it's like, you're not owning the good things you do or the bad, because there's something else to take it all away.
I think, at least I thought when that, perspective started coming out about, like it's alcoholism and addiction is a disease. Like
it's a sickness.
Yeah. I think I took it more as like, it's like more of like a rally cry of like, these people can be helped. They can be, it's
a treatable disease.
Yeah, it's something they can recover from. They're not lost completely. If they try to get clean, it can be done with treatment and with help.
And that's how most medical professionals see it, but it is actually literally medically thought to be a disease, even if that's not how all the professionals feel. And I think that miscommunication of like the intention versus the reality like fucks over a lot of the people that struggle with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can absolutely see that being a thing that people use to cover up their actions with.
It's copium.
Yeah,
and it's confusing.
You're giving someone the out.
Yeah.
To not have to take responsibility for their actions.
All right, last one. I think I'm curious what you'll think of this. So at the beginning, we're reopening our bookmark tabs that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
This is the bit of addendum to what is in my current life philosophy, and I'm curious what you'll think of this. I'm not like 100% on this or like fully sold, but it's influencing my thinking a bit.
Okay.
So, long time ago, you know this, I used to think that the only things that were real were the things that you feel. The physical world is immaterial, right? Emotions and brain chemistry were king. And I don't really believe that anymore. I don't think I've believed it for a long time, really. But in my heart, in my truest feelings, I have always strongly felt that nothing really matters.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm amending this credo a little bit. This is what I've been playing with. Purpose and pleasure are illusions, and the only thing that matters is comfort. All the motivations and intentions of everyone can always be reduced to comfort. What makes you comfortable, and what would you do to obtain it? Nothing else matters, just comfort.
I like that. I think it might need some walking to get it to this, but
do it.
The thing that I mean, the idea of the first thing you said, that the only real things are things that you feel.
That's out. That's the old.
Yeah, that's gone. That's gone.
That's junkie mode.
This is kind of I don't know if it's black pilled or if it's like just I don't. Yeah, yes, sad pilled is about right. I'm not sure if so much that I subscribe to it, but I do see a lot of truth in it, that reality is perception. The thing that you perceive to be is.
Yeah.
Whether it is or is not, it doesn't change my vision on reality doesn't change your vision on reality. Unless there is like, we sit down, we have a conversation about it, we talk it, but then I change your perception because now I have offered you my perception. If you can see it from my perception, from my perspective, then you've changed your perception on it. So I think within that,
the proof of that being true to some extent is the insane person, right? Their reality is their reality. Like, yeah. I feel like that part of my older thinking is like pretty undeniable. The part that I think is limited in its scope is there also is like physical material realities that are undeniable. And I used to deny that a lot more. I see that all as like that was past thinking, feels is real, updated more towards physical reality is undeniable. But I think what you first addressed didn't quite get to what I'm putting so much emphasis on in my thinking now, is that almost everything goes back solely to comfort.
Yeah.
Like anyone you can think of, all of their actions can be reduced to that.
I mean, that's a thing our brains are trained to do. That's where that, God, we just talked about it a couple episodes ago, and I always forget what it's called, when like your brain can't, it tries to like, what was that?
I know what the word you're thinking.
Your brain tries to cover up the shit that is happening or is conflicting ideas.
Yeah.
And tries to put it together.
The incongruency of yeah.
Yeah, it's part of what your brain is trying to do. I mean, that's also how what's the fuck's to call it? The dissociative disorder thing, where your brain literally makes a wall to shield you from incoming stimulus.
Discomfort to comfort.
The idea being that something is wrong. We might not know what it is, but we can shut down exterior stimuli to prevent any more from coming in.
But think of whether it's Trump or an actual fucking warlord. They do what they do because that's where they're comfortable. That's what they want. If you're comfy enough on your couch, you got a triple hot chocolate and you're watching fucking Hannibal. Oh, dude, I saw a cooking movie yesterday. Oh my God, I was thinking of you the whole time. It was so bad. It was so bad. It's called Burnt. It's got an actor that's really big that we both know.
I think I've seen that one.
I had a feeling
with fucking Homeboy.
Oh yeah. God, dude.
It makes me so mad.
Here's the thing: first off, it surpassed a lot of my expectations. Honestly, it was better than I thought it would be at a lot of interesting parts, and for 10%, and the other 90%. It met my expectations exactly. It was fun though.
Burnt was one of the cooking culinary industry movies that made me I hate it. I hate all.
I'm sure you do.
Because it's terrible, and it was just this is so unrealistic. There's nothing like
All the
relatable.
food looked
I
disgusting.
can't. It's like I can't relate to any of this. I've been in crazy kitchens before. I've done the classical French, cooking and everything. But like this person, the character, the relationships, none of this is realistic in any way. It doesn't represent what we do. What a chef is.
That ain't kitchen culture.
Right. And I was upset by it until the bear came out, and I was like, no, this is too real, and I hate it.
That's awesome. All right, so you're on your couch. You got a triple hot chocolate. And
It's a triple now?
Yeah, and you're watching your favorite movie.
You had another hot chocolate pack while you're sitting here.
What was it called? Burnt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking Bradley Cooper shit.
Yeah, you're so fucking comfy. I could ring your doorbell, and if you're comfy enough, you're not fucking answering. Right? Like everything everyone does is not about purpose or conviction or emotion. It's all comfort. And that's like fucking with me a bit.
I mean, I think that boils back to also the idea of like when you do things for other people, it's to make yourself feel better.
Yeah,
it's like
for self-comfort.
I know I'm going to be uncomfortable with myself if I don't help this person with this thing.
Yeah.
There's definitely an element of that. You might make the choice to do it, unconsciously. You might not give it much thought.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, if you know it's the right thing to do, or you feel that it's the right thing to do,
then you don't want to be discomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've got you comfy pilled a little bit.
Comfy pill. Man, that's a pill I can take. Fuck all the other ones. I'll absolutely take that one.
But here's the thing, though.
Is that just Benadryl?
If you take enough of it. Here's where I'm a bit iffy on this, though. I feel like this works a lot to understand other people. Like if I'm using this lens to try to figure out why someone's saying or doing or whatever their motivations are, I feel like it can like boil through some of the layers pretty quick to get like what's going on. Mm-hmm. But with myself, I find it a bit more confusing, where it might be better like extraspective. What is introspect?
The opposite of introspective.
Yeah, outward, but inward. Yeah. I feel like it's confusing because, like, how much of the things do you do in your life do you think you could attribute to comfortability?
I mean, I think it's with a lot of things. You can if you look at it and scrutinize it enough, I can come up with a reason why it's related to comfort, like,
sure.
Why do I go to work?
Yeah, to be comfort. Yeah.
To make money so I can have, air conditioning and a nice house to, sleep in. To buy those soft blankets that Eric Kahn hates so much. There's see, even like when you say like, oh, people that are, you grow outside of your comfort zone. It's like the reason you are making these choices, the reason you want to grow, you want to do, whether it's like you want to get in shape or you want to do this, it's like you're still looking for comfort, whether that comfort's like in your health or the comfort is in your physique, the comfort is in, you want to just change your diet so you feel better when you eat these foods and you feel worse when you eat these other foods, so you stop eating those other foods as much. Like, yeah, you're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone to do that.
To get
initially,
to a comfier place.
Yeah, exactly. To reach a new level of comfort. So
here's where I feel a little fucky on this, is I feel like maybe it works very good in introspective. I feel like I can, especially since being sober, I feel like almost all of my actions are directly in line with this. Like all of my motivations.
Yeah.
What I don't fully understand yet, or I'm trying to figure out, is like, if everything I'm doing is to be increasingly comfortable and I'm still incredibly disappointed with what life is, then something's not working, or like this is just like an animal movement. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it doesn't seem very successful or efficient or something.
I think there is an actual term for this. I always call it the working man dilemma because it was introduced to me by the song "Working Man" by Rush.
Oh no!
Yeah. Hey, I got you to say you like it.
You did. You did.
The idea.
Well played, sir.
The idea of you. The line is, "It seems to me I could live my life a lot better than I think I am." And however you take that to mean, it ascribes to, I'm still not happy with where I'm at. No matter how much I work, no matter how much I do, no matter how much I have, I feel like I could be doing better. I'm not happy with the success yet. And so you continue to work, to go outside the comfort zone, to achieve the new depths of satisfaction. Even no matter how much they seem like you can't reach it. You work your entire life and then you die unhappy.
I think that's where, yeah, I think that's where I'm stuck because I've been like working like a fucking psychopath, dude, for like a really long time now. And previously in Feels is Real junkie mode, I would have said like fuck all that shit. Like this shit's stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
And switched gears, and I'm not satisfied. I'm doing better, feel better, but I'm not at all satisfied with any of the fruits of my labor. Yeah. Like I'm in a much comfier place, but I'm like burning so many fucking psychic calories to make art, make podcasts, write shit, like get through the day, whatever.
There's cause I know
it changes nothing.
Yeah, I know 100% this feeling. I still get it residually, or like, you know, like for short kind of wafts of time, but I used to get it. I used to be like just my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, since starting to work, I just felt like that's all it was. I think I had one really fucked up toxic job that really robbed me of my health and my comfort. And then I did have money like saved up that I went out to like crazy dinners and shit during that time because I had money, but I could only do it
Ricky.
Yeah. I could only do it so often because I worked all the time. So like when I did go out to do something really cool and really fun, I was exhausted. I was completely drained. So, but then after that, like I ended up, my SI went out, or fucked up because I mean, of years of
your
the torture
joint?
of like, just bad like posture and, standing constantly, just standing in, you know, bad form. And, like my pelvis was like tilted. And I'm sure it still is. It's just not. I know, I know how to do, you know, the physical therapy to, you know, correct it and make it better. But I didn't have that at the time. So like I spent like 3 months just in pain. When like I quit that job, my plan was like, I'm going to just take a couple months off work. I have the money for it. I'm just going to ride my bike. It was like summertime. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to enjoy my summer. I'm going to go, you know, do shit and, you know, get back in shape. And then that, the final blow was like a week before I left that, you know, my SI went out, and it was like, I I can't ride my bike. I'm fucked. It's like I didn't have a physical therapist up here. I was just in a bad place. And it was like the final straw for me of like where my perspective and priorities were. And after that, my goal was like, at first I was looking at like, okay, I'm going to need to get a job eventually. I didn't want to do another kitchen job. I wanted just a regular jerk off job, something that I didn't feel like had to take home all of the emotions and the workload with me afterward. Something that had like a set hours. Like I go in at 2 and I fucking leave at 8 every day, whatever. Something a lot more regulated. And I kind of ended up getting that. But what I realized is what I wanted was a job where I had time to reflect on, not reflect, a job where I had time to like step back, see the forest through the trees, enjoy the comfort that I've built for myself, and still be able to continue. I feel like I have that job. There are times, of course, when it gets busy and it gets harder to do that. But I think at the end of the day, I'm a lot better off with that than I was before. I'm not saying it does get better, but I'm saying it can get better. And it might just be a perspective change that you have to make. It might have to be if you can't do that in your current situation, it might be a job change. But I'm very familiar with the feeling, and I've gotten to a place where it's balanced, where I still want to do better, I still want to do more, but also I don't feel like I'm robbed of it in the moment.
I definitely identify with what you're saying, and I've been you've gone harder on work mode historically, but I definitely get the burnout modes, and I think we were talking. I think a couple months ago, I was more in that place, but I don't feel. In general, I feel what you're saying, but I don't think that's so much what I'm feeling now. Right now, it's the more like I have the energy, I have the anger or like motivation or whatever, but nothing makes me more comfortable. Like if everything I'm doing is like to feel better, but nothing achieves that. It's not so much nothing achieves that. It's an unachievable thing, right? I care way more about creating something than my own happiness, and that's like curse number one. Good luck. Like you're starting on hard mode. You're destined to deep unhappiness. But then it also, if you're like trying to enjoy or be present or mindful, whatever the fuck, and you don't feel it just feels like it's a very futile gesture or exercise, where I'm not like complaining that things aren't getting better, but I'm not feeling whatever the fuck I'm wanting to feel, if that follows.
Yeah. I mean, just from hearing that, as your friend, what I would, and someone who knows how introspective you are, I would say, I feel like, trying a new perspective, or not even trying, but just considering a different perspective might help you ease into that. And I don't know how. It's way easier said than done.
Sure.
But I think there's the different perspective on priorities, especially. Of
That's
like,
the hard part.
it really is.
Because
it
it's like
fucking
you want,
really is.
You want what you want, even if it's not good for you. That's a really hard thing to change.
It's hard to, especially when you make a habit of it. When you make your personality out of it, to change your priorities.
Have you played with meditation much?
Not a whole lot. I used to kind of when I was younger, but not in a very serious way.
Yeah. I always kind of have. It's always like in the background, but I go through like waves of interest and then disinterest. And I feel like, and it's probably a good thing, but I feel like I'm kind of gearing up for a more, I don't know, a better dedication or interest in it again.
Yeah, it's definitely not because of any opposition to it. It's more of just, I have lived alone most of my adult life, so I'm
a living meditation.
Yeah, I'm most of my
You're a monk.
Free time is just sorting my own thoughts in my head anyhow.
This episode, these shower thoughts, this is like the last 36 hours of like brain fire. Like I feel like I'm very much constantly shuffling my brain to like be comfortable enough to want to exist or whatever. But I do feel like often that is similar to meditation, but it also can be very different. For me, it's been like some of my worst experiences in life have been tripping or meditating, but it's also something that has been like incredibly helpful or calming too. I think you'd like it.
Just got to play that internal game of, am I the asshole? Am I the reason this is fucked up?
That's a tough one.
It is. It's fucking, that is a really hard one.
They call that one the old mirror meditation.
Especially
that is a hard one to like look yourself in the mirror for a long time.
Yeah.
Some weird, strange looking animals start glaring at you.
I think
Dalmatians of dead neighbors.
I think that kind of introspection of like trying to figure out, is there any world in which something was my fault, or is there any world in which I'm the cause of my own problems? Like, if you're creative enough, if you have a good enough imagination, you can come up with some reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean that those are true and believable, but I feel like there is a tipping point where, you know, you have to take some things with a grain of salt. It's just figuring out where.
Yeah. I feel like I feel the need, I think, for a drastic change, but I think in reality I probably need a lot of very small, subtle changes. But I just don't know what direction I want to go.
Yeah. You can try on a bunch of different hats.
Not much of a hat guy.
You know, maybe you are and you just don't realize it yet.
Unless it's a Sherlock hat.
Unless it's a Sherlock hat.
And we're solving mysteries.
I was going to say the doctor hat, but that's not really a thing.
The point is, guys, if you don't want to think crazy thoughts, never shower. Okay, that's the theme to this episode, and nothing matters. But
you know,
it's fun, Joe.
I wonder, you know, if you go for a long time without showering and then take a shower, do the thoughts get like super crazy? Is it like you build up a tolerance from showering every day that it's like, it seems like you're having wild thoughts, but it's not that crazy. And then you know, but you abstain for a while.
We call that dirt charging. Or grime maxing. And the farther you push your max, the more satisfying that shower will be.
Fucking no shower September.
If you don't clog the drain, you didn't do it right.
You didn't do it right. You really gotta make yourself filthy.
Yeah. It's pretty easy, but highly rewarding.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Close us up. Sew us up. Sew us, Jesus, fuck. Sew us up, dear doctor. Sew me up.
Fucking terrible. Awful. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes, if you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZACX. And we got we have Islam.
We have it, guys. It's in the merch store. You can buy it right now.
I almost said we have... Guys, we have Islam.
Don't say that. You can't say that.
On the chopping block, and we got some other wacky stuff on the horizon. Appreciate whatever of the few weirdos we got left lurking about our digital domains, and yeah, appreciate you guys very much. Hope you guys are having a good night, and I highly recommend double hot chocolate.
Well, I think that sold it for me, Steven. I'll have to get some for myself.
Beautiful. You're welcome.
Thank you. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.
You know what the move is.
What's that?
So we have a Keurig at work. Our boss bought us a Keurig.
I always forget what that is because it sounds like a sex toy.
It's a coffee maker with the little pod cup things.
Yeah. They're good.